All right, so we've just started the recording. So thank you very much, all of you, for being here. I'll quickly introduce myself and then go on to introduce you, all of you. So my name is Bhavna Gupta, and I also call myself Story Auntie. I also call myself a lifelong learner. I'm the founder of Learning Sutra with a lot of experience, about 25 years of experience in the education space. I've done a lot of things. I've done training, teaching, materials writing for education and all that. But currently, what my passion project is and what I'm really doing this panel discussion for is that I create resources and experiences that help children think deeply, feel, and grow into life ready learners, as I call them, ready to face the life with everything that comes with life. So, us relation mein, I have organized this session. I'll quickly give you a quick context about why I decided to do this session. So, very recently in the news, there was a Kerala school who adopted a different kind of a seating arrangement for their students, a U shaped arrangement, which is actually very different from the traditional seating that we have grown up with. And this sort of takes away, it eliminates the traditional backbencher label and ensures that every child sits in the front. So that is the inspiration. Apparently, this idea was inspired by a scene in a Malayalam movie. And after watching that movie, this headmaster, the head of the school, and the local education minister piloted it in one of the classes and then scaled it up to some other schools also. Apparently, it resulted in improved student-teacher interaction and more attention for all the students. It had a very broad impact. 8 more schools in Kerala adopted this. And I've also heard that some schools in Punjab are also trying it out, and some are considering experimenting with this. Now, for me, the personal reason for starting this was I am quite active on social media, especially LinkedIn and Instagram. So on LinkedIn, one of my LinkedIn contacts posted something about this trend and uh, was sort of not clear about whether it's a good trend or not, or whether it's just a mindless trend. Will it stay? All of this. Now, reading that, I was a little zapped, and I realized that when I read about the Backbenchers initiative, I automatically assumed that it would be welcomed by everybody. But I was surprised to know that there was a wide range of opinions from parents, educators, and different people. And this LinkedIn post actually sparked very intense reactions from everyone, including me. And it made me realize that maybe I'm holding on to some unconscious biases of my own, and I wanted to examine those biases. That's what really fueled my curiosity and prompted me कि मैं ये discussion शुरू करूं so that I can examine my own biases, I can listen to real voices, and I can explore all kinds of perspectives. So that is why I invited all of these people here, and all these people have been kind enough to join me on a Sunday morning. So thank you very much for joining, for making time, and for sharing your valuable perspectives. So I'd like to quickly introduce everyone in alphabetical order. So I'm going to start with Ashwini. Ashwini is somebody I've known for quite a long time. Professionally, she has done her MBA. She's a technical program manager at Angel One, and she has a 10-year-old daughter who was also a part of our student discussion, our learner discussion, and she very actively shared her views. So this was very outstanding क्योंकि parent और child दोनों का perspective हमें मिल रहा है. And she was in a family where her father had a transferable job, and personally she also likes the backbench. Ashwini, would you like to add something to that?
I think you have added everything. That's what I was prepared.
इसमें भी फोटो लगा दे कैसे
तरनजीत जी, आप माइक प्लीज म्यूट रखेंगे?
हाँ मैं
Yeah.
I think it's Nidhi's mic. So hi Bhavna, you have covered all the things.
Okay.
Nothing.
So feel free to add anything that you want to about your
Yeah,
life
in between I can
experiences
add.
also. Sure. The second person that I want to introduce is Biren, who's born and brought up in Mumbai, now based in Bangalore. He has a child of 4, who's turning 4 in August. Wish you happy birthday in advance, Biren. He's done his schooling from Mumbai, Bombay Cambridge School. And for those who don't know, he's been an ex-student of mine, a notorious ex-student of mine, a perpetual backbencher, and that's why he's here. And as you can see, backbenchers or not, everyone does manage to make a name for themselves and be successful in life. So congratulations, Biren, and thank you once again. Do you want to add something, Biren?
All good. I think I'll save for the rest of the discussion.
Sure. Okay. The third person is Sandeep Hadbal, who is, again, a teacher, a dedicated educator, 15 years of experience. He's done his D.Ed and his B.Ed and currently works in a government high school at Zilla Parichad School, Palghar. And how I got to know him was when I recently visited the school with a Rotary Club and witnessed experienced live कि संदीप जी कितने inspiring speaker हैं and how committed he is. And that's why after that experience, I had to have him on this discussion. So thank you, Sandeep sir, for being here and making time again.
Thank you, madam.
And Sandeep sir, कुछ add करना चाहेंगे आप?
नहीं, discussion करते हैं.
Sure. Okay, and the last but not the least is someone who I have known again for quite a while, Taranjeet Kaur Sethi, who is an ex-principal in a school in Mumbai. She has done her MA in English and she also plans to do her PhD soon. She's been in the profession for 36 years and has recently retired as the principal. She loves reading, exploring new places. And I have been in touch with her personally through my storytelling initiative, where I visited her school. मैं उनके school में जाके live storytelling sessions हमने रखे थे, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I think the students enjoyed too, right? I hope so. So that's when we've been in touch for the last, let's say about 3 to 4 years, maybe. So that's my panel, and once again, thank you everyone for coming for this. Does anyone want to add?
Sorry, Bhavna, but Nidhi Setia is also here.
Nidhi will be a silent observer. Nidhi, do you want to quickly introduce yourself and then you can participate if you wish to? Nidhi?
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Nidhi Setia. I used to be a professor with Mithibai College, and I have a teaching experience of 7 years. And definitely college, it's a trend in the college to be a backbencher because they find it very cool if they are backbenchers. So when I enter the class, literally 5 to 6 benches of the first row, like they are empty and they are all cluttered behind. So then I also make it a point that I go back and teach them. They are like, oh, ma'am, why are you coming here? I said, I want to know that what is so beautiful behind that even I want to come. So then they were like, no, ma'am. Then we do some reshuffling and start our lecture. But yes, backbencher has been a trend then and it has been a trend now. So that's how it is. And Bhavna told me about this Zoom meeting and I was very interested. But unfortunately, because of some timing adjustment, I was not able to be an active member. So I thought I'll just share my ideas like this. Thank you, Bhavna.
Do you want to talk about your child, Nidhi? How old is your child?
I have 2 children. One is 12 years old and one is 5 years old. So 12 years old is, I mean, he loves to share his views. So I asked him when this backbencher thing came in the newspaper, I asked him about it. So he said that, sometimes the backbenchers can be very nasty, mama, because they don't study, they abuse and they are also, they pass comments. So I said, then he said, but they are cool also. So I said, this is like contradicting your own thing. So he said, no, sometimes being a backbencher is okay. And then I asked him about this you panel, you kind of.
So Nidhi, we'll talk about the children's contributions because I'm also going to talk about what we discussed in the live session.
Okay, sure.
Before we end the session. So we'll summarize all that and what I learned from the children. Thanks. Thank you, Nidhi, and thank you for being here. Okay, so let's start with the first question. My first question for everybody is, think about how you grew up when you were in the classroom as a student. आपका typical classroom experience कैसा था? Were you a front bencher? Were you a back bencher? I've already answered some of these, but still. Or were you somewhere in between? And more importantly, do you think that where you sat in the class, your seat in the class, made a difference to how you learned or how you felt? I'll give you 30 seconds. Think about this, and then some of you can answer this. Okay, so anyone wants to start? I'm not putting anyone in a spot. I will leave it to you. Who wants to start? You can unmute and speak. And feel free about English, Hindi, whatever language, whatever language you are comfortable in.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Taranjit Courier. I have always been a very bright student. And even though being the tallest in the class, I have always sat on the first bench. I never wanted to sit behind. I felt all the losers, all the duffer children were sitting behind. And that is how I grew up throughout my college also. It was like that only. And but when I became an educator, I understood that yes, when the children, those who are sitting behind, they are definitely neglected. And then I thought that no, there something should be done about it. And then I introduced a rotational arrangement. Like every Monday, the first bench would go to the last bench, and then they keep on rotating. And I think so that made a lot of difference in my class. This is what I feel. Thank you.
That's a good alternative too. And I think a lot of us have experienced that alternative also. I personally have. I don't know about the others, but yeah. Anyone else? Thank you, Taranjit ji. Anyone else would like to speak? Ashwini, Biren, anyone?
I'll go.
Ji, boliye.
So as I already told you, my father had a transferable job.
Hmm,
So I didn't get a chance to choose my seat.
Okay.
So पहले से decided होता था किसका क्या seat है, and then leftover I'll take. I used to take. And personally, what I feel, it doesn't matter actually. What matters is your intention. आपको पढ़ना है कि नहीं पढ़ना है. And again, like if I'm sitting in the front row, एकदम सामने वाला रो, तो I feel like कि अच्छा एकदम सर पे बैठे हैं टीचर, और कुछ भी मिस्टेक करते हैं तो they will point it out. So better under pressure काम नहीं होता है, but हाँ, it's different. मतलब we can say कि I will prefer backbench or middle.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
sure Biren will agree with this very strongly.
Definitely, yes.
Yes. Do you want to contribute? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I have lot of things to talk about backbench. Okay, so been a backbencher all my life, and be it college, be it engineering college or school, okay, all the time. I find I have a different perspective to this. Okay, it's not yeah, definitely we have these uh, tags that these are notorious guys, these are little weaker guys, and the guys who are in the front are all scholars and stuff. Yes, somewhat that is the situation, but what I strongly believe is when we have this sitting, okay, it gives you a comfort of at what level do you want to learn. Okay, this is completely coming from the learning perspective.
Right.
Definitely, everybody is not similar. Okay, everybody doesn't have the same intellectual, everybody doesn't have the same grasping power and stuff. You need your circle, you need that comfort zone where you can learn your things. All right, everybody's built differently, all kids are different. So if I consider myself, I was maybe I would take time in some situations to learn things. Some would be like just hearing it over the air, it was easy for me to understand. Okay, so yes, and then when you have people around of that similar similar wavelength, it becomes much more easier. Where I ask that, did you understand how is this done, and he tells me, he tells me the easiest way, the way he has learned it. Whereas the same thing I ask a first bencher, he would tell me in a very different manner how he has understood, right? Which is not difficult for me. Maybe मुझको basics ज़्यादा clear कराना चाहिए पहले. So that's how you select your arrangement. That's how you select your circle, and then you start learning, right? So when this news came in, I was also not of a thought that okay, this gives a sudden exposure to people like me who take some time
Hmm.
to learn, to grasp things, or to understand things, or learn things in a different way. Same subject, same situation, same things, same maybe same formulas, same theorems. Okay, but I learn it in a different way.
Right.
So this gives me a flexibility to choose what level I can grasp it at. Where do I grasp it from?
Yeah. And I
Right?
remember, Biren, we had a very extensive discussion on the WhatsApp group where I'm a part of
Yes,
with the other students with different views coming in. And that's where I decided
absolutely.
to invite some of my ex-students with views which are very different because I didn't want similar views always. Everyone
Yeah,
has a
and
perspective.
it's always good that see current situation. We are all thinking of how to get the best, how to make things more better, and how kids
Hmm.
learn the maximum stuff, and so on. Uh, I'm of a different thought. I'm still a little old school, where I want my kid to go slow and not rush too many things on him.
Hmm.
I don't want him to like people of this age of 3, 4, 5. They are learning football. They are doing karate. They are
Hmm.
running from pillar to post, just learning things every day. Where
Yeah.
this is,
Busier than
I think,
parents, actually.
exactly, and that's not the time for them. Is what I feel. Okay,
Right.
it might differ, but that's what I feel that this is not the time for them to get engaged into so many things. Maybe which we did not do also. Correct.
Hmm.
So they need to choose. They need to have their space. They need to learn at their place, at their space. Okay, that's what I want to maybe push forward today.
Perfect. Yeah. That's what we want to hear. That's your perspective is definitely valuable. संदीप सर आप कुछ बोलना चाहोगे?
हाँ मैडम,
या
मैं एक थोड़ा सा बैक बेंचर के बारे में बताना चाहता हूँ कि जो स्टूडेंट होते हैं जिनको थोड़ा सा कम आता है या इनको थोड़ा इंटरेस्ट कम होता है, वो क्या करते हैं या थोड़ा उनका इंटेंशन नहीं लेना चाहते हैं, वो बच्चे पीछे जाके बैठते हैं।
ओके
तो मेरा एक एक्सपीरियंस बताता हूँ कि मैं 9th में था
हम्म
स्कूल में, और हमारा क्लास चल रहा था, पर वो क्लास खाली करना था। मैं दो सेकंड या थर्ड बेंच पर ही बैठता था। पर उस दिन क्या हुआ, प्रिंसिपल का लेक्चर था और हमें दूसरे क्लास में शिफ्ट किया। सब बच्चों ने क्लास को भर दिया प्रॉपरली, और सामने वाला बेंच ही मेरे लिए खाली रह गया। तो मैं सामने जाके बैठा, प्रिंसिपल का लेक्चर शुरू हो गया, अच्छा सा शुरू हो गया, और बीच में से प्रिंसिपल आ गए और खड़ाक के मेरे कान के नीचे बजा। सर क्या हो गया? पहले दिन ही बेंच पर बैठा था, जो आईडी कार्ड का एक बैच होता है गोल वाला, वो लगाया नहीं था। तो
ओ
सर ने एक साट के मार दिया। तो उस दिन सर, अरे ये अच्छा है, पीछे बैठना अच्छा है, पहले बेंच पर नहीं बैठना चाहिए। उस दिन का वो एक्सपीरियंस था।
Biren, I'm sure this is reminding you of something.
हाँ, मुझे वो याद आया कि मैं पीछे तो नहीं बैठा, पर आगे वाले बेंच पर बैठा, तो ऐसा सीन हुआ था जबरदस्त। उसके बाद कभी भी कॉलेज कंप्लीट हुआ, सब हुआ, पर पहले बेंच पर नहीं बैठा मैं।
Let me confess here, यहाँ मैं भी confession करना चाहती हूँ that when I was a teacher, let me say I was not a very good teacher. I was not the best of teachers. A lot of students were scared of me too, and I think some students were scared. They wanted to sit on the front bench, लेकिन मुझसे डर के नहीं बैठते थे. So that this is another opportunity. Of course, I've learned a lot along the way. That was right in the beginning of my career. But I've learned along the way, and I think what I'm doing now is very different from what I was now. I would have frowned upon अगर मैं अपना teaching देखती उस time का, तो I would have really been very unhappy with myself. So this is a learning process for me also. Thank you, Sandeep sir.
Thank you.
Okay, any other perspectives on this? Okay, so I'm going on to my next question. Now, this you've spoken about your perspective. आप कैसे बड़े हुए, what you wanted. Now think about your child. अगर आपका अभी बच्चा है, छोटा है, whatever age पे है, think about, would you like your child to sit in the front bench every day, or even in the मतलब एक fixed seat, whether it is front bench or it's the back bench? Would you like that place to be fixed for your child? And do you think children can be overlooked or neglected because of where they are seated? Is there the possibility? So maybe let's assume that there's a child who is always on the front, in the front row or on the front bench, or someone who's always on the back bench. Do you think this affects how the child feels about learning? Open question, anyone can share.
Yes, definitely. It makes a lot of difference. As sir said, Sanjay sir said, that the front benches, the children, those who are sitting in the traditional arrangement, definitely the teacher grabs their attention and they are very concentrated. Like, I would say of my thing, I remember one of our teachers was there who used to wear beautiful Kanjipuram sarees. And every day, whenever she used to stand near my bench, I would just feel her sari. And that was giving a feeling of closeness to the teacher.
Taranjit
And
जी,
as
आपका
I
सिग्नल थोड़ा आई थिंक प्रॉब्लम दे रहा है. आपकी वॉइस बहुत क्लियर नहीं आ रही है. कैन यू
hello,
or come
can you
closer? Yeah, maybe this works. Thoda
hello?
better. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's better now. Yeah.
So yeah. So that was the thing that I always wanted my children also to sit on the first bench, but unfortunately my children did not want to do that. And whenever I used to go for a PTI or meeting the teacher, whatever they say, you make them sit on the first bench. So that this was the common, like always the consistent complaint that I had. I wanted both of my children to sit on the first benches, and they used to tell, "Mama, don't tell. We don't want to sit on the bench." The teacher keeps on rushing us. She asks us all the questions she asks us only. She's removing that anger, and I said, "Why don't you be prepared?" So that is what it is. Like, I always feel that the first benches is what the attention of the teachers.
Okay. Thank you, Taranjit ji. Before I come to you for the next question, can you just try and check your signal? क्योंकि आपके आवाज का बहुत breaking हो रहा है. We are not able to really understand the full message that you want to convey. But if it doesn't work, you can also keep sharing your ideas in the chat. That's also fine. Nidhi has also shared some ideas in the chat. I feel that backbenchers are always ignored and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you, Nidhi, for your perspective. Anyone else who wants to share anything?
Yeah, I would like to go ahead.
Yes.
Not exactly ignored, because I've come across professors, I've come across teachers who have understood that what is needed at what stages, right? So they ask the right questions, they explain it in such a way that they are matching all the wavelengths of the first bencher as well as the last bencher. Uh, for myself, I would really leave it on my kid. Like, he decides where is he comfortable, what does he do, and so on. Currently he's in nursery, all right, so I get these pictures every time of what he has done in the day. Those will be group pictures and activities and all those going on. So I always observe, okay, after this I'm observing it more, that what is he doing, where is he seated, and I find him maybe sometimes in the outer circle, but still paying attention to what is being told. Okay, that's what I take it out of the picture. Sometimes he's maybe ahead, okay, and when I observe the other kids also who are ahead are still not there. They are maybe looking here. It's just a picture, but that's what I take out of that.
Right.
So it
So
totally depends
basically,
on.
what you mean, Biren, is that I agree with what you say to a certain extent. That more than being a backbencher, actually, it is the label of being a backbencher, which is something that I don't agree with. And I think all of you will probably agree with that. This label that a backbencher will always be like this, जो हम stereotype कर
Right.
देते हैं कि backbencher है तो वो ध्यान नहीं दे रहा है. You are
Correct.
right. Backbencher पे a person may be equally attentive. And we cannot
Absolutely.
stereotype and say कि हाँ जो front bench पे है वो ही ज्यादा चीजों को समझ रहा है या learn कर रहा है better.
And it totally depends on the interest. जैसे for myself in my engineering, C++ or computers was never my thing. Okay, मुझे अभी भी नहीं समझता है, to be frank. I was really weak in that. So programming and all that stuff was not my cup of tea.
Okay.
So I was really slow there. I will take my time and do that. Same thing, but I'm still in the same location, sitting behind. When it was engineering drawing, when it was mechanical drawing, machine drawing and stuff, I have topped university in my batch. All right.
Okay.
Again, being at the backbench, right? Because that was always my interest. So the moment it was shown somewhere, or what was supposed to be done, I was the first one to get it done, because that was something which I really like. So I'm attentive there. I'm attentive on the other side also, which is not of my interest, but I'm trying to learn at my own pace.
Okay.
So that's how the place matters, I guess.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Biren. Ashwini, you want to add
Yeah,
something
correct,
here?
correct. So I feel ki, or I believe ki sitting arrangement should be rotation wise, कभी center में कभी corner
Flexible.
में, and I हाँ flexible, yeah.
Hmm.
And मैं श्रव्या को भी बोलती हूँ कि like कि श्रव्या is my daughter's name. If you will change the seat, you will get a different friends also. So that is also a learning.
Yes. This
So
was
try
one
to
point which came up during the discussion with children also. I asked them a question about, and I'll talk about it also later. Okay, what is the impact of friendship? So when you keep shifting, flexible seating hota hai, does that help you make more friends? And I'll share those
actually.
perspectives also at the end. Yeah, that's a very good point. Thank you, Ashwini. Sandeep ji, आप कुछ बोलना चाहोगे?
हाँ, एक्चुअली ये जो बैक बेंचर्स को जो बताया जा रहा है ना, तो थोड़ा सा मुझे तो उतना इंटेंशन नहीं लगता, क्योंकि जो टीचर होता है वो सब पे उसका जिम्मेदारी होता है, वो सबको उतना ही फोकस करे, जो पहला वाला बच्चा हो या पीछे वाला हो। तो पेरेंट्स के दृष्टि से देखा जाए तो उनको लगता है कि मेरे बच्चों को आगे बैठना चाहिए, या ये, पर ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। टीचर्स का सब बच्चों का फोकस वही होता है जो फर्स्ट वाले बच्चों पे होता है और लास्ट वाले बच्चों का भी होता है। बस वो कैसे पकड़ता है, लर्न कैसे करता है, वो बच्चों के हाथ में होता है।
I think to this very good point, Sandeep ji. I'll add to this. जिस तरह से हम बच्चों की बात कर रहे हैं कि whether they're sitting on the front bench or back bench, they might still learn well. So there is no stereotyping and there are no guarantees that front benchers are good. I think the same rule applies for teachers as well. Okay, there could be a teacher who is using the traditional layout, benches, rows hai, but they are still attentive to all the students and they can include all the students in the discussion. On the other side, there can still be a teacher who can implement a U-shaped layout or any layout flexible, but still not be attentive to all the students and not make the students feel included and seen. So I think it applies to us. And it's a very good point. More than the layouts, it's the reflection. It's a जो teacher अपने ऊपर जो reflect करता है, that is very important. कि हम किस तरह से maximum students को involve कर सकें. That is a very important thing or a skill that teachers should have. Reflecting rather than talking about different layouts and all that, reflect. How can you still bring out the best in each child? Nidhi wants to say something. Yes, Nidhi.
Yeah, I wanted to share something that as Sandeep sir said that teacher का हर किसी पे ध्यान बराबर होता है. I remember that there was a few naughty boys in our class. So when the lecture was going on, they were doing something else. But then the teachers start taking rounds, like they come in behind and all. They suddenly used to get very alert and like, अरे यार ये notebook दिखा, क्या लिखा है, जल्दी दिखा. And they start copying very quickly. And this very correctly, as Ashwini ma'am also said, that rotation of the benches is very important, because I remember I used to be, it was my chance to sit on the front row that day. I made sure that किसी भी तरीके से every notebook of mine is complete. मेरा homework पूरा है, मेरा pencil box एकदम well arranged, वैसे तो होता ही था, but still well arranged है pencil box. मतलब flawless. I used to be flawless जब मेरा first और second bench का था. फिर जब भी third, fourth होता है तो we start getting a little more laid back. So yes, in my son's class, there is no rotation system, which I had introduced. I mean, I had suggested to one PTA member also, ki please let's do the rotation system, because that's how every child gets a chance to be in the front also, as well as at the back also. Thank you so much, Bhavna.
So I think from what I get from all of you, whether it's the U shape or whether it's a traditional, we would still like some flexibility in the seating for our children. Not always being as a backbencher or a front bencher, whatever. So that's something that I understand. Okay, my next question would be, maybe this could be more for teachers and educators, because as parents, hum us taraf teacher ke side pe shayad na rahe ho. But my question is, traditional row seating, jo regular classroom seating hoti hai traditionally, what are the biggest challenges you face? उसमें आपको सबसे ज्यादा दिक्कत क्या होती है ट्रेडिशनल जो सीटिंग लेआउट है उसमें, और उस सिचुएशन में how do you ensure, how do you manage discipline and visibility in the class? How do you manage to reach out and include every student? So what do you feel about that?
एक्चुअली मैडम जो सीटिंग अरेंजमेंट जो ट्रेडिशनल है, तो हमारे जो क्लासरूम है उसमें मोस्ट ऑफ बच्चे 18 प्लस होते हैं।
ओके।
तो हमें वो रोटेशन करना भी इतना मुश्किल होता है ना, हम रोटेशन करना भी मुश्किल है और यू शेप में भी बच्चों को लाना बहुत मुश्किल है। और क्या होता है, इतने ज्यादा बच्चे होने के कारण हर एक पर उतना फोकस हम लोग कर नहीं पाते जो रियलिटी है। तो क्या होता है, हम हमारा लेक्चर डिलीवर करते हैं, पर ये जो यू शेप वाली जो कॉन्सेप्ट रखा है वो बहुत ही अच्छा है, जिसमें हर बच्चे को फोकस किया जा सकता है। हर बच्चे ने जो कुछ भी किया है, जैसे हमने बोला लिखना है तो वो लिखा है कि नहीं, उसने होमवर्क किया है कि नहीं, वो क्या कर रहा है, वो सब कुछ देखा जा सकता है। हमें कुछ भी एक्सपीरियंस करना होता है, जैसे कि बच्चों को कुछ प्रैक्टिकल सिखाना है, तो बच्चा वो सामने आ सकता है, प्रेजेंटेशन कर सकता है, बच्चा टीचर को ज्यादा फोकस करता है, और ये जो शेप है यू शेप में ज्यादा अच्छा पढ़ सकता है बच्चा। पर ये सभी कुल में पॉसिबल होगा ऐसा मुझे नहीं लगता, क्योंकि जहां पे स्ट्रेंथ ज्यादा है वहां पे हम वो कर ही नहीं सकते। वहां पे ऐसे हम यू शेप में बैठाएंगे, ज्यादा से 30 बच्चे बैठ सकते, ज्यादा से ज्यादा, बहुत बड़ा क्लासरूम होगा तो। पर अभी हमारा जो गवर्नमेंट का क्लासरूम होता है उसका चाहिए होता है 26x20।
ओके।
उसमें बच्चों को बैठने के लिए मतलब पूरा नॉर्मली जैसे बैठेंगे ना, फिर भी उसमें 60 बच्चे बैठते हैं। पर हम उसमें कितने बैठाते हैं, एक बेंच पे 3 लोग 4 लोग बिठा के उसी क्लास में 80-90 बच्चे बैठाते हैं।
Okay. So my question related to this, Sandeep sir, is I agree completely कि classes में जगह कम होती है and this is not possible. But my question would be कि if it is possible and if a school wants to try it out, अगर कोई स्कूल को लगता है कि ये possible है, maybe not one row, U shape में ही 2 rows बना के बिठा दें, like एक के पीछे एक 2 rows बने, if that is possible, then would you respect the school's decision to try out that change? Do you think the school should try it out then?
मुझे लगता है ये करना चाहिए, क्योंकि इससे क्या होगा, एक थोड़ा चेंज आ जाएगा। ट्रेडिशनल जो पद्धति है उसमें थोड़ा बहुत ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम है, क्योंकि वो टीचर्स को हर एक रो में नहीं जाना पॉसिबल होता है।
करेक्ट।
एटलीस्ट वो बच्चों को ज्यादा फोकस कर सकता है टीचर, और बच्चों को जो सामने वाला एक स्पेस होता है ना, वो एक तरह से हम देखेंगे तो वो एक मंच बन जाएगा। वो सामने आएगा, खुद को प्रेजेंट करेगा, और हर बार हर एक बच्चा वो सोचेगा कि मैं आगे आके क्या कर सकूंगा। तो एक बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी है।
Will that add to the children's confidence, you feel, if they get that opportunity?
बच्चा कॉन्फिडेंट हो जाएगा।
Okay. Okay. So this is again a debate which was going on. तो मेरा भी यही व्यू पॉइंट था कि if there is somebody who wants to try out this. So एक जो मैंने आपको लिंक्डइन पोस्ट के बारे में शुरू में बताया, किसी ने यही लिखा था कि it is a mindless trend being followed and it doesn't work because student strength इतना है. But my take on that was, I agree कि classes में student strength बहुत होती है, कि कई बार मुंबई के schools में भी, government schools में. But my question still was, if a school is trying to implement that change or even try it out, maybe not permanently, temporarily, should we respect the decision of that school in trying out that change? Because even trying something out is a big step, trying to change. So that is something where the debate actually started. So yeah, I think if it is possible, then it could be an experiment which is worth trying. Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Am I audible? Yes.
Yes.
I definitely would love this arrangement, because not only the confidence of the child will always be conscious that yes, the teacher is watching me. So this is going to be very, very important. And I think so it would be very helpful in developing other qualities also. Like if I ask a backbencher to come in front and speak, because I don't have space to go till the end. So this would be a very great thing, that the child will always think that I can be pointed out anytime and I have to come out and speak. I will be given work, and whatever assignments I am doing or what I've brought it from home, everything is under the watch. Like teacher can quickly call me, yes, come and do this. So this, if I would have been given this opportunity of trying it out, I would definitely love it.
Great. Thank you, Taranjit ji. I'll pass on the same point to Biren. Biren, like what ma'am said just now, okay, she would like to do it because children will be, teacher will be able to keep an eye, सब बच्चों को ध्यान रख सकेगी, whether the work. As a student or as your child, think about from the perspective of your child. Would you like your child to be under that spotlight, as you call it, always,
Exactly. So
of the
that
teacher?
again, coming to the same thing what I explained earlier, that I would definitely, okay, not contradicting to what both of them said. Okay, both are talking from the perspective of teachers, right? Where
Yes.
from that perspective, definitely it's the thing they want. Okay, so that everybody is in front, everybody gets an interaction point. Okay, and that's perfectly fine, 100% correct. uh, Now we go to the students. Okay, again, students are not same. Everyone is not same. अगर हम सबको एक तरीके से we would expect everything same from each and every student, that would be a wrong expectation, right? uh, I remember when we were in school, we also used to have the divisions like A, B, C. Somewhere that was also divided based on the
Yes.
let's say the intellectual
Abilities.
or the
Yeah.
abilities and so on. You know, okay, so
You're
you
right.
always knew that A is the brightest, and then so on. Definitely, there were some sprinkles here and there of
Yeah.
scholars also, but that is how it was designed. So there definitely is a reason why it was designed in that way. You had teacher distribution separately, that D would have a separate, maybe a stricter teacher, and A would have a more lenient teacher where they could grasp fast and so on, right? So all those things were already there. uh, there we are giving space to kids. Okay, kids is the priority. Okay, so I will always be in that perspective that my kid should not have that stress of going to school and then being that, you know, oh, now I have to just listen even if I don't understand. मुझे सुनना है क्यों, जस्ट ताकि मैं आंसर कर सकूं,
Okay.
मुझे वो समझ में आ रहा है या फिर क्या हुआ है, कैसे हुआ है. Okay, and the the pace wouldn't be same for all, right? It
Right.
is मुझे थोड़ा सा और टाइम लगेगा सीखने के लिए. आगे दूसरे बंदे जो मेरे बाजू में बैठा है, he could understand and teaches like समझा, he would also say in pressure, हाँ मुझे समझा. Okay, but then end of the day he's not learning things. So I would prefer that learning is more important than being attentive at that moment, at that time, and so on. वो concepts जो है which you learn at your space is very important.
Thank you, Biren. I think you brought up an excellent point about the divisions, which I had actually forgotten about.
Yes.
But that was also a very sort of judgmental and labeled
Exactly.
kind of thing, where we had divisions based on percentages, yeah, intellectual abilities. A में सब scholars को डाला जाता था, B में थोड़ा mediocre students. I don't know whether it was good or bad. In some ways, probably it was good because it gave competition to, or it had students who were alike, but I'm not sure. There's no right or wrong answer. I don't think there are any
Yes, I
right
see.
or wrong answers.
I also see
there.
it the different way because A, if you see academics, okay, A was always the brightest. Okay, they were doing good there. Then when we switched to say sports, okay, that time D was the first everywhere. Okay, be
Okay.
it running, be it
Yes.
football, be it cricket, or whatever games that we played.
Right.
Okay, D was the strongest, and everybody used to fear that, oh, now it's students from D are going to beat any house and stuff. But students from D are going to win it, or they have the strongest teams and so on. So see, it's all divided. Like I said, it's not same. Everybody's not built same.
Correct.
You need to give them that space. You need to give them that time, and you need to give them that zone where they can grow themselves. So everybody cannot be academically, going outright, standing out, and so on, getting 99% and so on. ऐसा नहीं होगा. It is not possible. There, we'll always have somebody who's doing 36, 37, 38, but he can do great somewhere else.
Right. I completely believe in that because as I said earlier also हम एक स्कूल के स्टेज पे हम इतना emphasis डालते हैं percentage पे. But I think beyond school there is no stereotype कि अगर कोई बच्चा fail भी होता हो स्कूल में, I've seen students who are very successful in their
Right.
careers later and it's the other way around also, who have been probably
Yes.
scholars in school, but have not been able to really make a mark in their career. So there are all sorts of people. And I don't think our education system actually prepares us for careers or for life, as I call it.
Absolutely.
A lot of things which are still,
I have an
nothing.
example, right? I have an
Yeah.
example of myself.
Mhm.
In my engineering days, I had students who have scored exceptionally good. Okay,
Mhm.
no KTs, nothing. I've had KTs.
Mm.
Okay, like I said, C++, computers
I
was never
had
my thing.
KTs too, actually.
Okay, so I have had KT. And then now when we look forward, when I went for interviews and when I applied for jobs and stuff, किसी ने पूछा नहीं मुझे कि show me
Right.
your mark sheets and so on. They just checked what do I know,
Right. The
right?
skills more than
The
the
skills, okay?
qualifications.
And that's where we worked, okay? So in my final year also, when I was working, when we had these Vivas and all those things,
Hmm.
the guy who was sitting on the first bench, who was exceptionally good, yes, 5 minutes, okay? Okay. So the guys who were, in the front and who did exceptionally good, no KTs, nothing, they were. Ouch. Jao, on karo. On karo. On
That's
karo,
your
ouch.
son?
Yes.
Say my
Okay,
hi
sorry for that.
later.
Yep.
That's okay.
So those guys who were there, जब practicals था, okay, they did not have an interest. I'm an automobile engineer. Okay, so जब practicals था, they have learned everything. Where's the carburetor, where's the battery, and so on. And okay, pistons क्या होता है, कैसे होता है.
Mm-hmm.
जब we open the bonnet and then that he's the first person to ask me, अच्छा carburetor कैसे काम करता है? He can draw it, he can
Okay.
talk about it, okay, but he doesn't know where to spot it.
Exactly. So we
So it's your
qualifications
area.
or skills में कहीं ना कहीं एक gap है
Exactly.
in our
Exactly.
education system. I would also pass this question to Ashwini, who's also been in the corporate sector for quite a while. What do you think about this? And one added question here. So when you have meetings in the corporate field, जब आपके company की meetings होती हैं, not basically जो आपकी collective meeting सब states की होती है, I'm talking about office के अंदर, एक particular local office के अंदर, whenever there's a meeting, what kind of seating layout do you have in those meetings? So can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, in offices, so we have U-shaped sitting arrangement,
Okay.
particularly in meeting areas. But I want to highlight that percentage what we scored in our 9th standard, 10th standard, हमको याद नहीं है. What we
Correct.
can recollect, it's a practical experience. जो MBA में किया है, so practical experience ही काम में आता है. कहाँ बैठे थे और what we scored, I don't think कि वो काम में आता है. And again, I am not strongly against this U shape, and I'm not favoring this U shape. But school can do a pilot run and then decide if it works, then they can continue. If it's not working, then leave it.
Okay.
And again, means see, when we used to sit in the back bench, we never thought कि ये कभी जाके sensational topic बनेगा and हम ऐसे meeting में ये
Right.
discuss करेंगे. Right? Nowadays तो podcast वगैरह भी बन रहे हैं. I heard. So it's like कि मतलब go with the flow. जो हो रहा है means अभी now it's a trend कि backbencher का trend, no backbencher trend is coming. So yeah, we can explore that. Means school must explore that. And I again एक point मुझे highlight करना है this thing like no backbencher also like कि my initial is A. So A always the victims.
Oh,
कभी भी
yes.
कुछ भी start होता है तो yeah, let's start with A. Let's
जैसे
start with
जैसे
A.
आज का इंट्रोडक्शन भी हुआ.
हाँ, that is a part. So ये भी ट्रेंड आ ही जाएगा कि
Yeah.
कुछ तो अलग होना चाहिए वाला.
Correct. That's a good thought. Yeah, that also was the A students are always under pressure. Oral exams हो या कुछ भी हो. That's absolutely right. Completely.
And we are like कि orals के बाद हमको पकड़ा जाता है कि क्या था वाइवा में क्या था. Let us know.
That's true. Okay. I think Taranjit ji ने भी chat में लिखा है that she is also agreeing to the fact that academics or जो future career है is not really related in that sense. So marks, though we do give a lot of importance because we are all in that situation, but still there is a lot more to be learned from life. Okay, so now sort of my final question before we start wrapping up. We are moving towards the wrapping up. So if this classroom layout is implemented, some of you already shared that it's an experiment that can be tried out, that should be tried out if it is possible. And we also realize that more than the backbenchers, we are against the label of backbenchers or the label of sort of just any kind of segregation or any kind of non-respect for children. So that's what we've decided. But if this seating layout were to be made mandatory, wherever it's possible, of course, then as teachers or as heads of school, this is more for the school's educators, आपको इस लेआउट को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए फॉरगेट अबाउट एवरीथिंग एल्स, अज्यूम कि आपके पास स्पेस है और ये पॉसिबल है, उस अजम्पशन पे बेस करके इस सीटिंग लेआउट को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए आपको किस तरह का सपोर्ट या किस तरह का फीडबैक या ट्रेनिंग की जरूरत पड़ेगी, सो दैट यू कैन utilize this layout and you can recommend it, try it in your school and even recommend it to other schools. And do you think that this would also be a question for children? Would you want to also ask this question to children in your school to find out if they want to implement this? So what do the educators think here? संदीप सर, तरनजीत जी. या
एक्चुअली इम्प्लीमेंट करना तो बहुत ही अच्छी बात है, ये होनी ही चाहिए, ऐसे तो मुझे लगता है. पर हम लोग जो बोल रहे हैं ना, एक यू शेप उतना ही है ऐसा हम सोच रहे हैं, बट ऐसा नहीं है. मैंने दिल्ली में गया था, एक मुनि इंटरनेशनल स्कूल करके, वहां पे गया था. तो वहां पे हर चीज के लिए मेथोडोलॉजी बनी है, हर चीज के लिए. जैसे कि हम लोग 2 बच्चे साथ में बैठते हैं, तो वो लोग क्या करते हैं, 5 बच्चे साथ में बैठा के 3 बेंच को ज्वाइन करते हैं. तो 3 बेंच में वो 6 बच्चे बैठ के अच्छा खासा डिस्कशन करते हैं. उसको उन्हें बोला ग्रुप सिस्टम.
Yeah, it's also called cluster seating. So वो 3-4 बेंचेस को ज्वाइन करके they
तो
sit in
हमें
a
एक ही
circle,
चीज पे
yeah.
फोकस नहीं करना चाहिए. हाँ, वो सर्कल कर सकते हैं. नहीं तो उन सब बच्चों को थोड़ा बाहर लेके जाके गार्डन में साथ में 6-6 बच्चों को बिठा सकते हैं. वो भी कर सकते हैं. मतलब हम एक ही चीज पे फोकस करेंगे ना, यू शेप बैक बेंचर्स, तो ऐसा नहीं होगा.
That's right.
पर हमें सबके लिए इम्प्लीमेंट करना है तो वो सब चीज ध्यान देनी पड़ेगी और हमें हर एक मेथड यूज करनी पड़ेगी जो उसके लिए जो इम्पोर्टेंट है. जैसे हम सोचेंगे कि हमें इसको बैंक बेंचर बैठेगा तो वो ये बनेगा वो बनेगा, ऐसे कुछ नहीं होगा. जिसको जो बनना है वो बच्चा बनेगा ही, डेफिनेटली बनेगा, उसमें कुछ चेंजेस नहीं होगा. बट हम एज हम स्कूल और स्कूल के टीचर क्या कर सकते हैं, हम उनको वो सब चीज दे जो उनको कंसेप्ट समझने के लिए ज्यादा इफेक्टिव हो, वो हर एक चीज कर सकते हैं. जैसे हमें वो यू शेप में बैठा सकते हैं, वी शेप में बैठा सकते हैं, सर्कल में बैठा सकते हैं, हमें वो जीआर सिस्टम में बैठा सकते हैं. हमें हर एक चीज करनी चाहिए जिससे बच्चों का इंटरेस्ट तैयार हो और बच्चों को कुछ नया सीखने को मिले, उसके और ज्यादा फ्रेंड्स बने. ऐसा हमें करना चाहिए. नहीं तो हमें एक बड़ी सिस्टम करना चाहिए कि जैसे एक बच्चा बहुत होशियार है और एक बच्चा थोड़ा सा कम है, तो दोनों को एक साथ मिला देते हैं. 1 महीने के बाद उसका और एक दूसरा बड़ी बनाते हैं. ऐसे 10 मंथ में हम 10 उसके बड़ी बनाएंगे तो 10 बच्चों से भी वो कुछ सीख सकता है. ऐसे हम बहुत सारा इन्वेंशन कर सकते हैं, ऐसे मुझे लगता है.
some good points to think about. Thank you, संदीप जी. तरनजीत जी, आप कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे इसके बारे में?
Yes, ma'am. The thing is, what sir said, I agree to it. Personally, I told you that whenever I was the teacher or the principal also, I always focused on rotational rotational seating arrangement so that everybody gets a chance. Second thing, what sir said, I call it a think, pair, share. And the buddy system I have always been following. This is a very great thing I've taught my teachers. And when the question that you asked, like what are the things that are required, what is the support system that is required, the very first thing that the children have to be taken a poll of, like whether they would want it or not want it. because they are the end users. They are the ones who
they are the ones who are directly impacted by this.
The direct impact that the ones also going to get. And secondly, the more other thing is the teachers. They have to be prepared mentally. Otherwise, what happens, like it is very difficult for the teachers to accept the changes. Any minute change also, it is very difficult for them. So we have to mentally prepare the children, teachers. We have to take the workshops or the trainings and explain them the pros and cons of the seating arrangement. And lastly, but not the least, is the parents. Because what happens, like as I told you, me as a parent or many other parents also always, teacher, मेरे बच्चे को पहले bench पे बिठाओ. Now the whole class cannot sit on the first bench. Because, but no, whatever I practiced was the rotational, because we did not have space. But taking into consideration, if we have space, if we have arrangement, but even then, I would not suggest that the U-shape arrangement should be forever. It should be different. Think pair, share, 4 children together, children sitting in a circle, so that what happens that they get new friends, new ideas. And as Kevin Viren, I think so, he rightly told that every child has his own time and spacing of learning. Every child's, I am a slow learner. I cannot learn as at your space. But yes, definitely ask my buddy. If my buddy is smart, I ask him, hey, teacher ne kya padha hai? Bata na mujhe. So that, I couldn't understand. And I don't know, it is out of the topic, but yes, I have always asked my teachers to take special classes, the extra classes, I would say, for the children, those who have not understood the concept, to take a, like whenever I go to observe the lesson and I see that, yes, this is the concept the children have not understood. So I would ask the teacher, the subject teacher, that please retake this subject for these few students, because I don't think so they have understood the concept. And teachers have always followed it. So the three main collaborators, I would say children, teachers, and parents, have to be taken into consideration for this assisting arrangement.
That's true. So one very funny thing I want to share here is, from my perspective and from my other experience as a teacher trainer, I have trained within my profile across India, rural schools in India, the smallest schools, some big schools, with students with very low class strength, कहीं बहुत ज़्यादा बच्चे थे. तो हमारा ये जब क्लासरूम लेआउट का डिस्कशन शुरू हुआ, तो मेरे कुछ कॉलीग्स, वी वर डिस्कसिंग दिस, कि हम अपने, आई थिंक अराउंड, आई हैव बीन वर्किंग इन दैट सेक्टर फॉर मोर देन 5 years, I think. And we've always, when we do our trainings with teachers and with other trainers and teacher educators, तो हम ये सीटिंग लेआउट फॉलो करते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स देयर इज स्पेस, समटाइम्स वी डू इट इन 2 rows, समटाइम्स वो क्लस्टर सीटिंग हम ट्राई करते हैं. So the key is to try out different layouts depending on the situation, which we have always done, and we have also told our teacher educators to try it out in their classes. And they have experienced it in the trainings. तो हम वही बोलते हैं कि आप जो एक्सपीरियंस करते हैं उसको अपने क्लास में ट्राई करके देखिए. But the funny thing was कि it took a movie to actually bring about that change. जितनी trainings हुई and a lot of things, of course some educators did try it out and they still do it, ऐसी बात नहीं है, but जो impact एक movie ने किया वो इतनी सारी trainings नहीं कर सकी. But I'm happy about it. Whatever all said and done, at least वो change is being tried out. Whether it works or not still remains to be seen. And I think to just wrap up this discussion, do you all agree? Just one simple question, and try to just say yes or no in the chat, or you can unmute. Do you agree that children's voices, children's opinions should be considered and they should be asked what they would like? Before you answer that question, or while you answer that question, Nidhi wants to add something. Yes, Nidhi, you can go on.
Hi, everyone. So, I just want to share something which I think one of the panelists said, but I'm so sorry, I forgot the name. There is a school in Bandra near this Leelapati hospital called Rishikul. I'm sure आप लोग को पता है.
Met Rishikul. Yeah.
Met Rishikul, yeah, right. So when I was considering a change in school for my elder one and my younger one was starting schooling, I had considered Rishikul. So my husband told that it is pretty far, that it's going to the commuting is going to take a lot of time. But one thing which I liked about the school was non-classroom teaching. So what they do is, yeah. So they like एक classroom में की उन्होंने दूसरी की, then they feel that the monotony is coming in the kids and they want to just venture out. So one sir would take it outside. So उन्होंने मुझे बोला कि no wonder that you will come someday to the school just for a round and you will see your son sitting under the tree and studying. I said I will be the most happy person. Don't think that I am that classroom four walls kind of a parent that कि मेरा बच्चा classroom में ही या AC में ही पढ़ना चाहिए. No, we never had any AC in our classrooms, but we studied and now we are teaching also. So now the thing is, I like that system, but because of very weird timings, I was not able to join the school and the distance. But I think U-shaped learning is definitely a great idea. But venturing out also is not a bad idea. Because what I feel little bit they come out in the open and the mind opens up. I feel imagine yourself on a lazy Sunday, like you are since morning you are like sitting
like today.
Like today, yeah. Everybody would feel like, चल यार शाम को कहीं बाहर जाते हैं.
Right.
Why do we say that? Because we all need a change. Everybody's mind needs a change. So maybe जैसे संदीप सर ने बोला कि try करके देखते हैं. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? We can try the system and we can always get back to the old one.
So this is another thing we have spoken a lot about in the trainings that I have done for teachers. Why do you restrict yourself to a classroom? If you can conduct an activity just outside your classroom, or if there's a small, open space near your classroom, use it. Of course, thoda logistically problem hoga to set it up. It could be disturbing for other classes and all that. But I'm sure you can still find a way to do it. And I'm not saying do it every day, but definitely worth a try. And like the system that you're talking about, the Gurukul system, as Ashwini rightly pointed out, and there are many non-formal systems of education. We have Waldorf method, we have Montessori schools, and so many other methods coming up. And I have been privileged enough to teach in a school which has a non-formal setting. And my children have also been lucky enough to study in that same school in a non-formal kind of setting for a short period, but yes, we did. So it does change things around a lot. So these are schools which are worth, exploring the idea of. Maybe we can't do all that they are doing because of space constraints, but I think it's important to work with the constraints that we have and do the best that we can. उन्हीं कंस्ट्रेंट्स में रह के, क्योंकि हम बच्चों का स्ट्रेंथ अगर 50 है या 60 है या 70 है, हम निकाल तो नहीं सकते बच्चों को क्लास में से. वी हैव टू वर्क विद दैट लिमिटेशन. उसी के लिमिटेशन में रहते हुए व्हाट इज द बेस्ट we can experiment with. That is something that we need to think about. So I think that brings us to the end of the discussion. As I said, what would you feel about children being asked about this? Would you like your children to share what they want?
Bhavna, you have come to my school. You might have observed my teachers have followed many, even though we have extremely space constraint. Right. But yes, my teachers tried out the new ideas. Like I told them, make them sit in the passage and do something, do experiments. And they have followed it and we have done. And as I firstly said, that it is a child who is the end user, so he has to be taken into consideration. He has to be asked whether he will be comfortable as I'm sorry, I forgot his name, your student. He said that, yes, I want to sit at the back bench. I am a student who always wanted to sit on the first bench. So definitely the children have to be taken into consideration.
Great.
Yeah.
So great
so
point.
We have to be taken into consideration.
And on that note, I want to share what discussion I had with the children. तो ये जब सारा डिस्कशन शुरू हुआ, फर्स्ट आई स्टार्टेड थिंकिंग के पेरेंट्स और एजुकेटर्स के साथ डिस्कशन. इन द मीनवाइल I came up with this, why should we not ask children about this? Because they are the one who's going to experience it. So I set up a meeting and I wanted to do it before the meeting with the grown-ups so that I could bring their perspective into this meeting. So when I had this meeting, we had about 4 or 5 children in this meeting. One of them was Ashwini's daughter. And I had a few questions for them. It was planned. It was not just throwing a question to them and asking them their opinion, because since they are children, they need, that build up to that question. So I'd set up the activity in a way where we had some kind of a warmer activities, some questions, some imaginative situations. I asked them about situations which are imaginary and what you would do in that situation. So when the meeting started, I noticed that some of the children were not as expected, not very willing to speak, hesitating to be put in the spotlight, etc. So all this happened. And they also had very rigid views about how a classroom should look like. कि ये तो traditional seating नहीं है, तो ये U shape, it doesn't look like a classroom. Those are the children's word. If you do that, it will not look like a classroom. To which my response was, what should a classroom look like? And that's when I'd also discussed with children that there are classrooms which have alternative seating methods. जो ये cluster seating के बारे में बात कर रहे थे. So I just gave them that little context. And slowly I built the idea of empathy in them. कि अगर एक आपको लगता है quiet student है और they are very, academically inclined, they have a lot of good ideas, but they are shy to speak in front of an audience, then what would happen? So ये सब questions पूछने के बाद, my real realization happened when at the end I asked them a question. So all the time they were like, okay, both seatings are okay, we can try this out, इसके pros and cons भी हमने discuss किए. Last में मैंने उनसे एक question पूछा कि if you are a teacher and if you have a student who is very confident, Nidhi, thank you. If you have a student who is very confident and another student who is very quiet, has a lot of ideas, very good at studies, but very shy to share. And as a teacher, you want to be fair to both these children. Then what kind of layout will you choose to have in your class? This was the final question that I posed. And very surprisingly, something that even I didn't expect, they all came up with that we want a U-shaped seating or we want a V-shaped seating, which was their variation of a U-shaped seating at their age. And everyone throughout the meeting, slowly, they began to open out, they shared their ideas. And at the end, they came up with this, which even I was not prepared for. So for me, these were two things that I learned. One, even if a child is shy, you need to give them a safe space to speak, to share their opinion without being judged for it. कि हम उनको जज नहीं कर रहे हैं कि आप ये गलत बोल रहे हैं या सही बोल रहे हैं. So maybe, and they need to feel कि हमसे जो बात की जा रही है वो हमारे बारे में है और हमारे opinion में grown-ups really interested हैं. That is when I think they share and they start thinking. Because if I go and throw the question to them, what do you think about the classroom layout? Like I did with you, I don't think they will be in a position to answer that question directly until you actually build up a situation for them and they began to empathize with that situation. Thank you, Taranjeet ji. Thank you so much for joining the meeting on this Sunday morning. So this was the discussion and I was very happy with the outcome of the meeting for both reasons. One, because the meeting was very productive. Everyone in the meeting, though they were initially hesitant, they spoke their thoughts. And second, because they were able to empathize with the situation. So that was a big learning point for me. Now, I'll quickly just wind up this discussion in just 2 minutes. So from what I learned from today's discussion is that a lot of us, including me, at some point always preferred a certain kind of seating, front bench, back bench, whatever. However, the pressure of being in the front bench was often because of anxiety. Okay, I don't want to be put in a spot. I don't want to be targeted by the teacher. That in a large way contributed to our reluctance to be on the front bench. That is something that I do realize. So I would feel it is the responsibility of the teacher to not perpetuate that feeling. वो feeling नहीं रहे बच्चों में. So it's that kind of feeling. The second thing I also realized with children and from my discussion with you is a lot of what we think about a classroom layout is influenced कि हमने किस तरह की seating अपने school life में experience की है. We mostly feel comfortable with whatever we have experienced and the choices that we have had. So I think that's another thing that I learned. But it's also equally important to think about or to wonder how would a child, let's assume we are all most of us are used to traditional seating. But if a child in another country or in another classroom in India is already following a cluster seating layout or a U-shaped layout, how would they feel about shifting to a traditional layout? What would their feelings be? Would they be open to it? Would they be able to compare these two seatings if they are given a choice? So that is something, again, which I'm wondering. Again, I'm drawing comparisons between something I spoke about in the meeting about corporate meetings, जो मैंने बीच में पूछा था कि corporate meetings में we've never seen local level पे, जब office level पे वो meeting होती है, I don't think I have also ever been a part of in my organization in a physical face-to-face meeting. I don't think I've ever had a traditional kind of a seating layout. It has always been flexible, or it has been a U-shaped, which brings me to a question that, are we assuming that as adults, we need that inclusive arrangement, but as children, we are okay with traditional seating? So that's a question that I'm just putting to myself. So this is something that, again, sparked a thought in me. And as a corporate or as a person who's working at this age, would you still be comfortable in a traditional layout in a corporate meeting or any meeting between grown-ups? Would we still be comfortable with that? And the most important thing here, the no backbencher. Are we okay with the label of being a backbencher? Can we typically stereotype students in any way as a front bencher or as a backbencher? Can we stereotype and say that, okay, a front bencher is always going to succeed in life, being a good student, and the other way around for backbenchers? I don't think so. We are mostly, I think we all agree that we are against the label of being a backbencher, which has somewhere stemmed from the system of the traditional seating. So that is something, even if the seating system cannot be changed, I'm sure we can rethink our ideas about labeling someone as a backbencher. So there is no single right way to have a classroom, but I think it's very important to be open towards change. And for that, I would highly applaud the Kerala school for at least taking that initiative to try to change. So that's something that I would like to thank, or I would like to end my discussion with. And does anyone want to add anything here before we wind up the meeting?
Yeah, I just heard about the corporate settings, what we talked about, right? Just a short thing. Now, are we talking about some learning something, or we are talking about the meetings and the conferences that we have? What are we talking about?
When we are talking about professional development sessions,
Right, because
what I had in my mind.
Then the intention is totally different of both the things, right?
Yes.
Here you are learning something, you are intended to gain something,
Correct.
whereas there it's more about a discussion. You are there at that place, at that location to share something, right? And not, yeah, learning is definitely always there.
Yeah.
But
So for
there you
what
are
I had in
expected
my
to.
mind when I asked that question was
Correct.
actually a professional development session, which is happening in an
Absolutely.
organization
Right.
for grown-ups. So I'm trying to compare these two. So why do we assume that grown-ups will not be okay with the traditional structure, but we assume that students are okay with that structure? So these are questions. These are just questions we need to ask ourselves, I think.
Absolutely.
Because like I said, there is no right answer. There are different situations. We have to work within those limitations if there are space constraints or if there are too many students in that class. But yeah, questions can definitely be asked. This is just the starting point. So on that note, I think let me just check the chat. Anyone wants to add anything before I officially end the meeting?
One more thing, it's good that we are now having discussions about the education system, right? We are now talking about how we do the sitting, how we do the distribution of thoughts and so on, right? So we're talking about different things that we can explore and not the traditional. I think that is what is needed. And this is just a beginning. Okay, maybe we start with a seating arrangement, but the way it is being taught, the things that are being taught, okay, I think people will also think about that, and that should make a difference. So overall, I think all the best to all the
I
teachers and
think
the educators.
it's something worth exploring in your children's school. Maybe you can talk to the authorities and encourage them to try out the system at least. That's a starting point for us. And when I had this discussion with minors, with the children, unfortunately, or actually intentionally, I did not record the session because they're all minors and I didn't want to intrude into their privacy for any reason. And nor did I want to share it publicly or record it for myself, which is what I've not done. However, I was really so interested. At every moment, I wanted to record and I said, okay, there are such excellent views coming up. I wish I could record. And that is why I wanted to share a summary of what they said here.
Right.
Though they were minors and we cannot put it publicly, but I think their opinion was really worth thinking about. So as a parent, if you can initiate these discussions with your school authorities and ask them to at least try it out wherever possible, if there is space and if the system allows you to try it out, then it's something which is worth it. Not just the U-shape layout, but any non-conventional layout, the cluster seating, or even experiment. Because another discussion we had with the children was, is your mood the same every day? If it's not the same, every day you may want a different seat. Today you're not in a good mood, you want to sit in the back, you don't want to talk to anyone. But if today you're feeling very confident and I want to sit in the front and share everything about this topic. So it is not something which is set in stone and it remains fixed. This is something which is fluid, flexible. And I think we need to have the opportunity to have that kind of thinking for our children. So I think the best discussion for me was the one that I had with children, but your opinions definitely mattered. Their opinions matter more to me because they are the ones who are actually going to be at the receiving end, as you say. So yeah, on this note, thank you very, very much for coming in on this Sunday morning on a personal invite from me. And it was excellent catching up with all of you from different streams of life. And I tried to keep the discussion as diverse as possible. I wanted teachers, I wanted parents, I wanted people from different generations, from different areas geographically to be involved in this discussion, so that at least that discussion is something that you carry in your mind. So thank you again for coming in. And on that note, I will end the session.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm just going to stop the recording and give me a second.